Today we're going to talk all about anger and hate in relationships. It's really interesting how we get into these loving relationships and then all of a sudden for lack of a better word, work shows up in the relationship. And you start finding things out about that person that you didn't exactly know existed beforehand, and it creates this intensity. Hey, good morning, good to see you. And before you know it, there's Steve. Let's see if I can invite him to join in. Here we go. He should be. So in this relationship that we formed out of love and connection, we all of a sudden recognize there's this, hello, welcome, good to see you.
Howdy. Good to see you.
Getting all situated. Hi, good morning. We have a lot of lovely friends on this morning. How exciting.
And you're looking all cozy there. Is it cold? You got a sweater on and everything.
No, it's not cold. It's my daughter's home. She likes it colder in the house than I do.
Gotcha.
What you do for the ones you love.
That's right, boy, that's right. So it's been a great week so far. How about you?
Good. It's been an excellent week. I'm getting ready to do some traveling. I'm heading off to California, and then I'm going to be doing a little travel off in Mexico. So things are going to be exciting. And soon I'll be out traveling with you. What's that?
I said, you're a traveling maniac. That's, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Things happen. She doesn't talk about it much, but she's got a lot of things happening in her life, and I think that's fascinating. When things really start to blossom, you put in time back here, comes to fruition over time, and really starts to happen. So I mean, that's always exciting to me. That's what we spend our lives doing. That's what we try and teach people to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. Take advantage of adventure, for sure. I'm having a tongue-tying issue this morning. I don't know if I didn't sleep enough or what's going on.
Do this with it. Hold on to it for a while.
Let's try again.
Yeah.
This is water.
Sure it is. Yeah, sure it is. When she loosens up, it was really good water too. Yeah. Well, the key is, we were sitting, I have to admit now that when we do relationship work, a lot of times we watch things we probably shouldn't be watching. So I watched The Bachelorette last night, or Bachelor in Paradise, or whatever that's called, and those are, all about instant relationships. I mean, they just happen so fast. They got to have it happen in 6 or 8 weeks, and they expect somebody to come out engaged after that. And some of the people do, but some of them, what you find is communication just kills people.
Yes.
It's our inability to ask the right questions, our inability to share our feelings, everything that we keep hidden because we're afraid if we let it out that it's going to come back and bite us. And in the end, what happens is it bites us anyway. So we'd be better off sharing our truth, sharing our reality with our partner, with the person who we're hoping will be our partner. Because you talked about something last week, because I brought it off of one of your books, I think it was something about what's hidden behind hate, right? Something like that?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So hidden behind hate is all about the understanding of when you're in resistance and you recognize you're having I don't like this about this person, or I'm not liking this discussion we're having. It's all the uncomfortable things, the things that you hate in your life are usually the things that we have to deal with. It's the opportunity to unravel our belief systems of things that we think are real versus what is real. And a lot of the times we get so invested in it because in relationships, we marry each other, right? So we have this really cool experience where someone will talk to us in a tone or give us something and we'll be like, what the heck was that? When you didn't even realize you were contributing tone to the conversation before they responded. Or maybe the words you chose triggered something in them and that was the work. So this can start this really brewed anger or this heat in the relationship that creates a lot of friction. And I call that the hate, the things you hate about, the relationship dynamics. I don't want to go there. I don't want to have these hard conversations. I don't like it when we fight, and all these things that we avoid that, like you're saying, conversation and communication, we must have dialogue around those issues in order to create connection. So like when someone is getting upset or they used a tone that they didn't even realize they had in their voice, you can pause back and go, wait a minute, what did you just say? Or did you mean it the way you said it? Or, oh my goodness, you said that with so much tone. there's opportunity there, because then it gives a chance for a person to go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I did that. Or they can take ownership, yeah, the way I said that really wasn't the way I meant it, and I apologize.
But we don't do that, do we? But
No.
we don't, because when you say, I'll say, well, that was mean, or what did what the heck?
See, and
that
that's
was
the
just.
projection. Yes,
Yeah.
and that happens. Yeah, and that happens. People make those faces or get upset, and that's the projection. That's the reaction to the experience. Instead of saying, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know why, but I heard that as like, that was mean. Did you mean it mean, or was there something that I missed? Or did I say something to upset you? Taking ownership in the conversation can change the relationship dynamic completely. Instead of going, oh, you're so mean. Why would you say something like that? Or that reactive experience keeps the fire brewing and keeps that real explosive, exactly, bumping heads, getting a real struggle in communication. And that is where the resistance starts. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you have resentment in the conversation. So resistance starts, you start the friction, the push-pull in the relationship.
That's good, I like that.
And then it brews into that resentment. You never listen, you never hear me, you never this, you never that. And it could be a one-time thing, and before you know it, it's a mountain of experiences, right?
Well, because they bring all of their past back in. And when their past comes back in, it's like, that person never listened to me, that person never did this, or this person always did this or made me feel this way, and now you've just done it. And so all of those come flooding back into this relationship, right?
Yeah, and we pile it on. We add past experiences into our new experience, and we destroy it before we get a chance to really understand why we keep reliving these patterns. So absolutely, get reinvested in the fight. And then before you know it, you've ruined this new relationship.
Yeah, I think the challenge is, as we look at our relationships, one of the greatest challenges we have is communication. Most people don't understand that. That's why when you say you and I are going to put on these workshops every 5 or 6 months, as we put these workshops on, one of the key factors is to talk about the communication in any relationship. I've told you before that I worked on one a few years back, and I was promoting my book at the time, and the people there were like this, and I went, well, first of all, and it was mostly ladies, because most ladies would attend these things. But I said, first of all, don't expect the man to read your mind. So if you want something special for your birthday, make sure he knows. And she was like, I shouldn't ever have to tell him what I want. He should automatically know. We've been together long enough, he should know. And of course, that creates a problem, because if he doesn't know and he buys the wrong thing, then she's like, how could you not know? But you don't have to tell us specifically. You don't have to say, I want this. But you have to say, hey, honey, look at this. Maybe sometime in the future, this might be something you could get me. Those are the kind of things that we might want to convey.
Yeah, you and I've had this discussion before. I kind of have a different stance. I totally get what you're saying around that. But I also feel like in relationships, we have a lot of attachments to people doing or fulfilling our wants and needs without proper communication, right? So instead of asking for what you want, maybe sometimes it's not being attached to wanting anything, but allowing someone to give you things that you didn't expect to have. Because we block off an entire world to ourselves based on our attachments of what we think we want. Then when all of a sudden something shows up that we didn't even know was possible, oh my gosh, your life is so much deeper and so much juicier. Like you talked about earlier about how with my busy schedule, I've learned to say yes to the right things and to recognize when no should be used. Not necessarily do you always say no. And I know there's a lot of people who say yes to everything and you don't say yes to everything, but you create these really cool opportunities if you really pause and really contemplate, does this serve me or does this not serve me? And even in a gifting situation, when someone's trying to gift you something that you may not necessarily want, there may be a reason you're getting the gift. There may be something there for you to learn. So it's kind of fun. Hello, I'm getting a lot of hellos and a lot of good morning waves. So I'm so excited to see you all here. Can you see everyone?
I can't see anybody. Okay. Yeah. But that's the key there, I think, is what you said, though, is what is a gift? Like, we could get back to talking about that. What is a gift? Is it something somebody gives you because they thought you might like it? Those are the things that we say, I want this. This is what I want for Christmas, and this is what I want to get. Now, over my last 10 years of my life, probably similar to what you've gone through, is when I got divorced, and I'll say 10 years ago, 14, whatever it was, right? Everything changed. So I sold off all my rental properties, And one day I just said, I'm done with the Midwest. And I said, I want to get rid of winter. And I moved. And I just packed up one day and moved down to Atlanta, Georgia. And a year and a half later, my son, who was getting ready to leave the house that we'd bought after the divorce, he said, I'm going to move too, Dad. What do you want to do with all this stuff? And I said, just sell it all, right? Just get rid of it. And he had a big garage sale. And it wasn't like we brought in an auctioneer or something. You know, we sold a lot of great stuff for, you know, probably $10. I mean, I didn't care. I said, just sell it. You keep whatever you make off of that. And everything was sold. So all of the wonderful gifts that you've gotten over the years, or all of the wonderful presents, you know, everything just gone. And afterwards you think about it, you go, I probably would have liked to have saved this or kept that. But you know what? It hasn't made any difference in my life today. You know, you still have memories. You go, man, I wish I still had that. Or, boy, those tools would have been great to have now. But the catch is that if we allow ourselves to be given stuff with the understanding that it's just a gift and it will probably disappear in the future, that's the key to gift giving, understanding, being compassionate. Like you say, if you tell somebody, if you want something specific, yep, you have to tell them. But why do you want that thing that's so specific? Why not want 20 things or 40 things, and allow somebody to bring you something that they think you would value, right?
Yeah, and it goes back to the anger. You know, if you are attached to someone gifting you something specific or needing them to fill this void you have in you, because all relationships where, you know, we're looking for somebody to do something, be something, you know, that's not a relationship. That's puppets. You know, that's trying to control people and acting how they should in our lives. That's not going to gift you connection. That's going to gift you more control and resistance, which can give you.
And
but you never know. You never know what's coming in your direction. So you have to be willing to, you know, receive and not be attached. I apologize.
You know, that's all right. But you know that when we talk about anger and hate, those things all create that resentment, and they create that atmosphere that we have that anger. And it's like, I expected you to say or do this, and you didn't. Now I'm mad. The answer is back to what Tamara said earlier, which is try to understand why they said or did that. Try to ask them, hey, did you mean to be that mean to me? Did you mean to say it with that kind of tone? Did you mean? Now, again, I always go back to, if you know your partner's heart, you would expect that they don't know they said something to upset you. So always clarify. If you know your partner's heart, they will never mean to hurt you. That's the one thing I talk about love. When people are over it and they send hate mail and they do things, I go, then you weren't in love anyway, because love would never hurt your partner. And even if it's a painful breakup, even if it's a painful experience, no matter what happened, if you love them, you do not want to cause them pain. And so when people take that out on other people, I always go back to, really, did you really love them? Or maybe back to what you and I are trying to do, which is teach people about love. The skill of love is all about love does not inflict pain, even when it ends, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, a lot of the times we go into these relationships where, you know, we even, let's step out of even dating relationships, let's go into family relationships, because that's always where the greatest, yummiest work is anyway. Our connections with our parents or our siblings or, you know, step parents, whatever the family dynamic is, they're gifted to us to help learn more about ourselves. So if you're showing up and acting in a set way or performing a, you know, if you're just doing a deed or you're doing something to connect to somebody and they're not receiving it, you're going to make up a story that, you know, that you are unlovable or not liked or unappreciated, or, you know, the list goes on of all the things we say to ourselves when somebody isn't willing to receive our connection or our love. There is a really cool piece in there for you that I don't think most of us really stop and realize. Am I pushing something on someone that they're not ready to receive in the first place is one of the things I ask. Maybe they're just not open to be able to receive something. So it's really a question of, am I forcing something into somebody's life? Or maybe they misunderstand my intentions and they think that there's some kind of catch or attachment to it being in their life. So there's all these little like backstories that we have to know about our relationship that we have with people, because we have history with them. And family does not forget the way we were when we were 3 and we stole the cookies out of the cookie jar, and now we're doing something that reminds them of that experience. We have to be open to something being different and let them evolve with us as we grow and mature through our own understandings. It is a very big discipline to be able to be aware of when we're pushing a gift or when we're receiving. That's what really all the hate is about, is resistance.
And that's right. We can talk about, first of all, you said something that was, how well do we receive? You know, most of us are not programmed to receive. And I don't care in what situation. Do you ask for help? Most of us don't. We go, I can get by and do it myself, because we're not programmed to ask for help and receive help. So we try and get by without it. And that's always strange to me, because once you figure out, hey, I need help with this. Hey, would you help me with this? You know, one of the things that I do, I get real frustrated with myself for not being able to figure out. And then eventually I'll ask my wife, I go, I need your help with this. Well, I say it in such a manner because I'm already mad with myself that it upsets her. So I have to try and be cautious of what I say to her. And sometimes she's just real understanding, and she says, hey, you know what? I know you're really PO'd, so just get out of the way and let me do it. But that's because we found that place. And most families struggle to find that place of receiving. Will you receive what somebody is offering you? Whether sometimes it's money, sometimes it's affection, you know, sometimes it's just advice. And sometimes people give you advice and you say, I don't want your advice. That's okay, listen to it anyway. Put it aside if you don't want it, if you don't find it valuable. Just say, hey, I appreciate you giving me that input. Thanks a lot. Now, if they demand that you do their advice, that's a different story, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's really important to recognize and to be able to really witness somebody else. You know, are they open? Because that really does. I mean, we sometimes dump on people. We share when they're not wanting to hear our opinions. We create a lot of heat in the conversation before people are willing. You know, like, it is very difficult. There's a relationship responsibility that I don't think most people are aware of. They know to be present and listen and be in love, but there's a whole nother element of being accountable for the energy or the exchange. You know, I can think of energy as an exchange inside that relationship. And sometimes silence is more powerful and more supportive than filling it with words or actions. And sometimes it's just, you know, touch versus force. You know, it's just that it's really an intimate connection. Any relationship, it's you know, even you have a relationship with like a quick checkout at the grocery store. You know, eye contact is essential. And there are things that we just don't. You know, some people are on the phone while they're still trying to check out at the grocery store. You know, or whatever. These moments of building skills are very important. And it's, you know, yes, we all live in a very busy life, and it's very intense, but recognizing, you know, you may get a smirk or an attitude because somebody doesn't feel like you're giving them, you know, a proper exchange in that relationship. Exactly. So, and
that's what I tell people all the time. You know, I teach public speaking down here in Tampa, and one of the things I teach is what do they say? 87% of our communication is nonverbal. And so once you understand that, you'll understand that sometimes people will ask you things, hey, are you in a bad mood today? And you're not. And you go, no, why would you ask me that? And then you're given that same face. No, why would you ask me that? Which is a face that shows I'm kind of upset with you. And we don't understand our facial expressions. I ask people all the time, how often do you practice your face? And they go, what? I go, you have to practice, because you have to know what expression is going to tick somebody off, what expression is going to give them the wrong impression, you know. And so I talk about it all the time, you know, that my expression got me out of a lot of jams when I was young, because I had to practice. It's obviously a little round face here, and the guys who want to beat you up would pick on the little round people, and I was one of those. And so you had to practice on what your face would look like, what it would convey, so that people didn't single you out. And from the time I was 15 till I was about 19, I was always that guy. So I had to learn how to express myself when I was walking in someplace or walking out of someplace, you know, where there was a situation possible. And so people don't understand their facial expressions, much less their gestures, much less their body language. And all of that changes how somebody perceives you. So our tone, you know, like you say, I'm guilty of that still. I think I'm pretty good at it. And yet when I teach people to speak, their tone conveys so much. You know, my wife tells me all the time, Steve, you talk so fast. I go, a lot of times I have this much time to cram in everything I want to say to somebody on a conversation where I'm trying to teach somebody something, or on my business coaching where I say, I got 40 minutes, this is all we get, because it all has to fit in there.
Yeah.
The same thing happens in our relationship, doesn't it? Is when I try and just rush through in conversation with you, because you said something earlier, and then I'm going to turn this back over to you for a little expression back. You said, when I'm in the grocery store and I talk to somebody or somebody in line, and you know what? If you think most people have enough communication, ask the person in the grocery store, the checkout person or the bag person, hey, how's your day or how's your week? And you know what? They'll spend 2 or 3 minutes telling you they need somebody to talk to. Therefore, what should we do more than anything else?
Be present.
Listen. And that's what Tamara's real good at. Tamara's good at listening.
I do think it's essential to be present in every moment of your life. It's very intense. We have a very fast moving world, so it is very difficult to, give everything equal balance and equal presence. But yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, general casual interactions. I love that commercial. I don't remember what the commercial was selling, unfortunately. But I do love the commercial where you'd see one person open the door for another, and then the next person would pass the good deed on, smiling to somebody else. Do you know what commercial I'm talking about? I'm sure everyone does. That is such a powerful impact to recognize your smile does impact the world. I'm sorry, it just does. And oops, my light went out. So recognizing those elements.
No, I still see your light. Everybody sees your light.
It's very dark in here. So recognizing how much you impact the world really is important. But I will say, I have had the encounter where somebody actually stopped being my friend because they said I was too nice. And that was when I was very young. And I was like, yeah, it's very funny. I was in 8th grade. But I learned too that you can't make that about you. If you walk around with your smile on your face and you're happy and you're authentically happy, I'm not saying fake it till you make it on that. I think that shows up, when you're trying to pretend to be nice, it comes off usy and manipulative. I mean, if you're trying to get out of sadness is a whole nother story. But, there is this part of you that needs to be balanced with that. You need to be in your integrity. But I think a lot of the times, people will feel the resistance of their own lack of joy. And when they bump into your joy, there might just be resistance there. So don't make that about you. Recognize that this is what they're going through. It is just it's a moment, and you're actually helping them because you're showing up fully and they realize they're not. So it's really a kind of cool gift you give out there unconsciously that can celebrate a lot of people and help shift a lot of sadness, which I think is so essential. I think I was meeting with a Vietnam veteran a couple of days ago, and he was saying suicide, there's about 33 a day of Vietnam veterans that commit suicide a day. PTSD is a real thing. It is a real serious thing. And what I found very interesting is just, you never know when you're bumping into somebody who's dealing with PTSD or some other issue. Why not make their lives easier? Because you never know, you may be the last person that impacted them and that could have changed the direction of their life. And I think it's so important to realize how gridded together and how we are intertwined so deeply into each other because we're soulmates. We're all connected by our soul. So if we really value that and show up with that, we can change that. And I'm not trying to be a crusader, but to really recognize when you show up, you do make an impact, whether you realize it or not.
That's really important, but I think the sad part is most of us tend to isolate ourselves. We don't take that, we don't get to know our neighbors. We don't reach out to somebody. We tend to isolate ourselves. Instead of coming together, we come back. And so we're standing here like this all the time. And when we have the opportunity, so many people have anger and animosity built into them that they give you attitude from the start. And like you said, you have to realize that's them. I have people every once in a while, they'll ask me, Steve, how's your day? And if I'm on a good day, I go, man, I'm so good. If I was any better, there'd have to be 2 of me. And when people, they go, how can that be? I go, I know, it's crazy, wild, it's great, isn't it? And so when you understand that should have impacted them in a certain way, I don't say it to impact them, I say it because I'm having a great day. But you understand that there are so many people out there who aren't having a great day. When they say, how's your day? Whenever you're in the checkout line, you're here, you're there. You go, I'm having a great day. And if you're at work, yours is probably not as great as mine because you're still working, depending on how you feel about your job. And some of them will say, I love my job, this is great. And some of them will go, yeah, I got 3 more hours and I'm out of here. and then you have to understand what they're feeling, what they're going through. But that's true even at home, isn't it? When somebody that you're in relationship with, now, like she said, whether it's family or whether it's your intimate partner, you have to ask the right questions quite often. How are you doing? What's happening with you? What can I do to help your day? And when we talk about that, sometimes it's your brother, sometimes it's your sister. I used, my sister passed away, I think it was 3 years ago now. I tend to lose track of time, but it was about 3 years ago, might have been 4 now. But the interesting thing there was, I would talk to her off and on as we knew that her disease was progressing, it was cancer. And as I knew it was progressing, and I would say, so, how's it going today? How's it going today, right? When I would talk to her, and we lived, states away from each other. And she'd say, good, it's going good, blah, blah, I got this problem and I'm doing this, but it's going well. And then one day, my mother calls me up to say, you have to come home, Cheryl's dying. And I went, what do you mean? What do you mean she's dying? No, I just, 3 days ago I talked to her, she was fine. See, it's one thing to not necessarily burden somebody with something, but it's a whole other thing not to share that, hey, I'm reaching the end of my life, maybe you should come home and love me, right? Boy, that would change a lot of things, I think.
Well, I think a lot of people, even going through that kind of stage of their life, don't want those pity eyes. I have a lot of clients who tell me I get the sympathy eyes. I don't like the pity eyes. And I understand that because they do not want, their life, they want to feel normal as much as possible. So I can understand someone withholding that information. But for you, I could understand that would be so difficult because you'd want to cherish the time differently because it could be the last time you spoke with her. So I think it is important to recognize maybe how, every connection could be the last time and really celebrate that more deeply. But it is hard, you're right, because when somebody is not willing to share the depths of what's going on for them. I just had a friend who committed suicide recently, not a very close friend, but it did affected me in the way of realizing, wow, here's somebody I know and care about that didn't really show it, like you're saying, doesn't really show up like that. And so it's very difficult. And meeting with those vets the other day and talking about the conversation about how it is a struggle to support them and looking for the red flags that they go through. It's important, and of course, cancer is a totally different story, but it is hard. It is hard to know when our friends are suffering because we do suffer privately. And so being that witness or that person who just holds space while they're going through that is a gift. And so going back to our topic.
I've also known people who hated somebody because they died, right? Yeah. They have that anger. It's like, hey, right? And that's all part of our processes that we have to do. But when we talk about hate in a relationship, understand that the hate part of a relationship might be in a moment in time where I say, I hate what they do. I hate how they do that. That's okay. That's a normal feeling. What you have to understand is how do you get past that so you won't be bothered by that the next time, and it might bother you less the next time, right?
Absolutely. It's essential to learn to recognize what triggers you and why, because that'll tell you whether you're in a healthy relationship. If you're dating someone intimately and they're doing things that minimize your sense of who you are and how valuable you are, it's probably time to get out of that relationship because either you're not strong enough to have a voice with that individual, or if you have tried and they don't listen, then they're probably not a good match because they're not open to hearing you. So learning those elements, and I'm talking male or female, this is gender neutral. You have to take ownership of that experience and put yourself in a very safe place. In relationships with your parents, sometimes you have to, go through a divorce period with even your parents because there is a resistance about being seen for where you are in your growth right now. A lot of the times parents don't want to see their children grow up. They still want to be in control because they don't want to give up that role, right? So you have to learn to hold healthy boundaries for yourself. And it's okay to have hate. I hate the way my parents talk to me. I hate the way I have these experiences. But recognize that that's the opportunity,
I worked with somebody a few years ago, and that was her big challenge. She's in her mid-30s. She had a little one, and her mom treated her when she'd go in, she'd go, this is happening, that, and you're not doing this, and you can't do that. And when we were working together, I said, okay, so here's the question. How long has it been going on? She said, forever. I went, okay, so that's your mom. that's your mom. And she went, yeah, I don't like it. I went, I understand that. It's like if I walk into a room and my sister, would say, like, we always called each other names as our endearment stuff, and she'd say, hey, dummy, or hey, stupid, or hey, ugly, you're like, hey, how you doing? I love you too, right? But when she understood, it took us 3 months to get there, but she started to understand that she's never going to change her mom because we can't change someone else. So what she came to is understanding that every time she went over to her mom's house, which her mom was like her pseudo babysitter, and every time she went over to her mom's house, she was going to be treated this way. And when her mom would treat her that way, all we kept working on is, that's my mom. I don't like it, I don't appreciate it, but that's my mom. And once she came to that conclusion, 3 months into this conversation that we were having, one day she says, I got it. And my mom's not upsetting me when I go over now. And I went, amen, right? Yay. But that's part of it, because her mom may not have understood how much she was hurting her daughter, may not have understood the relationship there, but her daughter had to find the path through that. And here we are, I think we're 3 years later. When I talk to her now, she and her family get along pretty good. She says, I still don't like going over to my mom's because she still does this to me, but I understand. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that really lends itself to our communication skills. Sometimes just rely on us. You're not going to change the other person. So you have to decide, like you said, if you're in a relationship where that person is continually making you feel that way, well, if it's your mom, you can move out. But if it's your spouse, you have to decide, or significant other, like you're just in a dating relationship, then you have to decide, am I going to stay and accept this, or am I going to end it? And that's really a key
factor. There's an opportunity here. Sometimes it's an opportunity to learn to communicate differently, get support around that. You might find a relationship that the only reason dysfunction's happening is because you both are playing with the old scripts, and neither one of them are making sense anymore because you both have grown beyond them, and you get an opportunity to reevaluate and reassess your relationship. As long as you're committing and promising love each day to that person, reinstating your love, not the days of your vows and not the days of that, you're so sweet and you're so cool to me. I'm talking about every day, even in the thick of it, when it's ugly and you struggle, those opportunities, they happen to come up to help you work through your stuff. So if you're in a committed relationship and you're hitting a bump, it's not a get out of jail, get out of Dodge scenario. It may be an opportunity to really, really, really grow and get deeper with this person. So it's really all on you.
How many of us ever thought of that? How many of us really? Now that's an extraordinary example by Tamara that says, hey, so many times when we bumped and we bumped, we just go, I'm leaving. She's saying, hey, guess what? Maybe it's a learning experience. Maybe we need some growth in there. That's why we're putting on another workshop in February. And if you would like to attend that workshop, certainly get in touch with Tamara and she can arrange everything for you. But I want you to understand that. Yeah, first one sold out. Sorry, you can't be with us in October, but hey, we got another one in February already. So just be aware that this is the kind of stuff you will learn when you come to the workshop. Tamara is an extraordinary teacher. She has extraordinary knowledge in helping you in your relationship, whether it's a new relationship, whether it's an established relationship, whether you don't have a relationship. Because sometimes, I wrote the book on how to find a relationship. So you put that combined together and you're going to find little bits of wisdom. This is huge wisdom, but if it comes in an incremental bite and you can accept it, it changes your world. Oh my gosh, just thinking what she just said, instead of me doing this, going, oh, I hate that about my partner, I can go, I wonder why I hate that about my partner. I wonder if it's something in me that's creating that. Or I wonder if my partner and I can talk about it so that we get beyond it, right?
Yes. Yeah, we are a team. We're a collaborative unit. And how does a team cohesively navigate confrontation or resistance? It finds a way. You got to follow the flow of the relationship. And if you're in resistance of change, if you're trying to force change, or if you're in resistance of it, it's going to create more of the same. But natural change comes from really understanding somebody else's perspective and getting a chance to really share what's going on in their world, what's going on in your world, how it interacts with each other, and really evolve your relationship. So it is a lot of fun. And I think it'll be really fun in those workshops. We get to embody it. You don't just learn about it. You get to actually learn how to practice it in your everyday life. It is so much more important to not just collect wisdom, but know how to use it when you're in collapse. Because a lot of the times when we're in resistance, we're in a fight, we can't recall those tools that you learned in class. We really want to be able to walk away going, okay, wait a minute. I know what this feeling feels like. I know exactly what to do here. I know how to help someone understand me when I'm in the thick of my uncomfortable ugliness, and how to be the best version of myself right there. Because that's the beauty of you. That's the gorgeous part. And that's where a lot of us fear that vulnerability, you know, showing somebody those sides of ourselves. Such a cool gift. So if we are really open to celebrating that, we could totally change our relationships and our abilities to interact, show up. Opportunities come out of nowhere from these kinds of exposures, you know, allowing yourself to continue to grow everywhere.
And one of the areas, I was just talking with somebody the other day, and one of the areas is financial. It's amazing to me how you can be with somebody and you're saying, this is my finances and that's your finances. And if you're in trouble financially, it affects everything about your life. And they said, well, I didn't get a partner so they could take care of my finances. I can take care of this. And yet they were struggling and have been struggling. And it's like, okay, so let's see if we can figure this out. Maybe if you combine and figure things out together. And they go, I don't want to tell them. I don't want to burden them with that. Oh my gosh, then why do you have a relationship? You want to find the partner who will help you with these burdens, who you can talk to about it, who you can cry and say, I don't know what to do, I'm at the end of my rope. And so financially too, make sure you understand that it's okay when you're a team to talk about the finances. Don't do it too early, but certainly before you make it a permanent relationship.
Before you open that door, you have to build trust.
That's right.
I mean, the vulnerability of finances is a true judgment space where people have different beliefs around money and different interactions. We should talk about that next week. Let's talk about money and relationships next week. I think that'd be an amazingly fun topic. You like that idea?
So ask us questions, send Tamara questions. How do they get a hold of you, Tamara?
I have left it right below or above, I forgot where they put it. The information is Tamara at tamarablankenship.com. I lost my mind for a minute there. Just send me an email, or you can private message me on Facebook, whatever you want to do, you know. And then we'll just, we'll include those in our conversation. And by the way, by all means, please text away. I am looking for people to leave comments. There's been not too much, so I appreciate it. Oh, and Frederick, maybe we should even have him as a guest on. It'd be fun. He talks about finances. He actually started a book that I helped him launch last week. Just, did a quick question and answer. We did a meetup. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, it would be really fun to have that conversation next week. Make sure you show up, Fred. And we'll have a lot of fun around that.
Is Fred on SmartFem?
Yes, I brought him into the circle. He's into the family. Absolutely. So yeah, let's do that next week. And I think we probably should wrap it up because we're almost beyond our 30 minutes. But by all means, send me an email, and of course, reach out to Steve if you need any support from him. And always, honored to have all of you show up here today, and blessed, to have such great relationships with you all. So please, please, please let us know what we can serve you best with next week. See you. Bye.